Hi everyone, Sandra Lachey back, and I am here to talk to you about marriage. I have not been on here in a while. I have not discussed marriage or had marriage Mondays in a very long time, and so I just, decided it's time to have a conversation. And so, what I wanted to talk about today was, well, first, let me just tell you all this year, 2021, marks 9 years that I have been married to my husband. And a lot of things that I talk about on Marriage Mondays, I have learned in those 9 years of being married. This is not anything that I just come off the top of my head with or my opinion. It's not my opinion. These are actual and factual things that happens within marriage. I also do not only get my information from myself and my marriage. I have conversations with friends who have also or who are also married. I talk to my mom, who has been married to my dad for 39 years. And so I get all of my information from experienced individuals. But anyway, I want to talk about not sweeping things under the rug, not sweeping issues, conversations, things that bother us, opinions under the rug. And this is something that I just found to be something that happens quite often in relationships, all types of relationships. But it's so important not to especially do this in a marriage. Marriages are supposed to be where two individuals are so tight that they are become one, that their thinking is the same, that the way that they move is the same. And so communication is the number one thing that gets us to that place. Because let's face it, when we first get married, we are not one. It's impossible. Okay, you cannot be one as soon as you say I do. We don't know each other like that. For some of us, for me, I did not live with my husband until after we got married. So I didn't know how he acted around the house. I didn't know anything like that. I didn't know how he ate, like in the house. I don't know how he made the bed, or just how people are real comfortable at home. I didn't know anything about him in the home setting, and he didn't know anything about me in the home setting. And so, like, before you get married, everything's cool and everything like that. You go to your separate homes. Then we got married, and I'm like, oh, that's how you do that. So things like that. Those are small things, but big things as well. You don't want to sweep those under the rug. And I found that a lot of times we sweep things under the rug because we don't want the confrontation, or because sometimes the issue or the thing that we want to talk about, it can be very uncomfortable. There are many conversations that could come up in a marriage that can be very uncomfortable, either for you or for your spouse or for the both of you. And a lot of people, they like to, they don't really want to get there. Everything's cool between us. I don't want to mess things up and things like that. So I'll just leave it alone right now. Don't do that. Do not do that. Because a lot of times when we do that, we never get back to it. We never get back to it. And what happens when we never get to it? It's still an issue, or it's still a problem. We never even talked about it. We never had a conversation about it. Never had a conversation about it. If you never have a conversation about something that is bothering you, or that can potentially be an issue in your marriage, that is not a good thing. It's not. And then nothing has been resolved. If I have an issue with my husband, and because we so cool, we been going straight, everything, no petty arguments, he's doing everything right. Well, he's so sweet, everything's good. If I bring this up, I might not, it might make him upset, or It might make things a little shaky. Nothing is going to be resolved if I don't say anything to him, or if he doesn't say anything to me. We're going to still have the same issue, because no one knows that there's a problem but the person with the problem. So nothing is being resolved. The last thing that happens when you sweep things under the rug is it becomes a habit. Not just a habit, it becomes a bad habit. You don't need bad habits in your marriage. You want healthy habits. You want healthy conversations. You don't need any bad habits between you and your spouse. You don't. You don't. And I want to make this very clear. When I say do not sweep things under the rug, I do not mean, let's say today is Monday. I don't mean like, let's say my husband come home, he had a rough day at work, he's tired, and I say, well, it's a time and a place to have certain conversation. So that wouldn't be the perfect time to have a conversation with your spouse if they've already had a bad day, especially if what you're trying to talk to them about is like very uncomfortable, or can be like controversial type of conversations. Could be like conversations about money, or conversations about children, or conversations about parents. Things like those, things like that can be very confrontational, or not confrontational, can be very uncomfortable. And so we don't want to have a conversation when they just came in the house after, having a rough day. But we do want to make sure that we have that conversation at a better time. We're not sweeping it under the rug where we're not having a conversation at all. We're not saying anything at all. And that's something that I had to learn. I used to sweep things under the rug because I just didn't want to shake the waters. Me and my husband, we had children before we got married. So there were conversations that need to be had that for me might be a little bit uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable conversation that I need to have with him. And I used to sweep things under the rug. Now, me, scary, right? I did all that worrying, all that extra stuff in my mind, thinking that things was going to be bad. When I actually had the conversation with my husband, it was like, oh, okay. Why was I not saying anything in the first place? I was like, no. Talking about it is the best thing. You may not always agree, or your spouse may not always agree with you, but if you all can have a conversation and come to common ground, then that's still a great thing. And so I just wanted to tell anybody, especially in marriage, if you are married, do not sweep things under the rug. It doesn't matter if the conversation could be uncomfortable. It does not matter if you feel like your spouse might be a little upset with you. Make sure your tone is right. Make sure your intentions are right. And you will be fine. You all will be fine. Communication is definitely key. And so that's all that I wanted to talk to you all about today. Was just that keep that communication open, not shut. Keep it open even with uncomfortable, difficult situations with your spouse. I promise you it will bring you all closer when you all are able to talk about anything. And you can talk, and then if you feel like the conversation might be heavy, because some of us that are married, we have heavy situations going on. Pray and ask God to help you and to give you direction on how to talk to your spouse, or how to even bring up the conversation. Ask God to give your spouse understanding. If you feel like they may not understand, ask God to give them the understanding. Don't just go in there and start talking. Ask for direction. Ask for wisdom in the situation. And I promise you, it will be fine. You will be just fine. Okay. So that's all that I have. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday evening. And I hope that something that I said today helped someone out. Until we meet again, peace.